Does it even show where Glissopia is?
Yeah, dude, it's in the southwestern sector.
Dude, come on, get it right,
You know what?
Jace.
We don't even need to show the sectors, dude. It's better without them. So, where are we starting?
This nigga.
We had to start with like where does the TML war begin?
The
TDA.
UE, Fort Jagged, Fort
Hell
No, no,
no.
no, no, no,
Cookie.
no, no.
TDA.
We gotta talk about the things that start it. So you have the TDA war ending. The TDA war
I
ends.
met B-Man, and then he introduced me to the
Okay, no,
group,
no, be
and
quiet.
then
That's way too far back. That's the TDA separate conflict. TML. Okay, here's what happened. Right, TDA war ends. People like, and where's? Tell me if I'm hovering over the right spot. Tell me when I hit
Are you trying to find
Tractorate
I'm
Arkansas?
City.
missing.
Okay, wait. Fort Vance is right here, right? So Tractorate City. Let's just say I'm
It'll be
gonna get
it'll be
green.
down here. Under.
Oh, here it is. It's actually right here. So this is Tractorate City. I'm gonna mark it in green. So this is basically the focal point of the TML. Now let's go and take a quick rehash and go to where's it at? So New Blacktopia, where is Fredericksburg? It's this body of water right here, isn't it? And it's on this side. No, New Galvin. It's on this side of the river, isn't it? So it'd be like right here. This area right
I'm gonna be
here
right back.
is in contention. TDA war. The entire conflict was fought right here. Fredericksburg will be somewhere on this side, Galvin over here. The entire conflict was fought in this general region. It ends with an AAC victory. Your AAC, let me pull it up. Let's go AAC. It's going to be CFA.
Woohoo!
It's going to be LOP. It's going to be UE. That's
What about
your
Gloria?
AAC. Oh, and AG. So you see that? That's your AAC. Hopefully we won't have to use this part of the map. Now, your TDA, if I have some more space, let me just erase these. So there's your visual representation. That's your AAC. That's the factions involved with the AAC, the main ones. You also had stuff like Solid States and then the various factions within the CFA. Obviously, we're just going to lump those into CFA. What the fuck? How do you how do you just get rid of the? Never mind, dude. Doesn't matter. Anyway,
Dude, you suck.
quiet down. Your what would eventually become. Well, let's start with what
Dude, you fucking suck.
the TDA. You had obviously Glissopia. You had
Mistonia.
Andorra.
Mistonia.
Dude, stop. This is like an actual video, dude. Mystonia
And
and
Narcissus.
Narcissus.
This is
So
terrible.
this is your TDA. These are much smaller groups. You know, even though I listed less with the AAC, you got to keep in mind that each one of those groups within the AAC consisted of multiple factions brought together, excluding Aglaria, which still is this entire region right here in the snow. I'll circle it. This here is Aglaria. It controls that entire area. Quite a few people back then. Now, TDA war ends. TDA loses and is forced to concede all things in this sector of the world. Everything in this sector they were forced to get rid of. Now, issue is Narcissus is right here. That's it. They didn't end up giving it up, and the CFA, which consisted of everything in this area right here, ignore these flags. So this is the CFA territory. They also controlled everything here in this entire sector. I'll circle this like that. That entire sector, and
And
a little bit over
Southern
here too.
Southern West.
They
Yeah.
controlled that too. And then some over here in the form of Dramas. Now, they decided not to enforce the treaty, and Narcissus was allowed to exist. During this time, Easton Burton got in close with me at Jaconia, right here, beautiful place, and was unfortunately no, I got it backwards. Easton Burton was caught up in a scandal. Now we will go over the actual facts here. He did have an alternative account with creative mode, but the actual issue of the case was framed on him by the people down here at Glissopia and the TDA, the former TDA. They blew up his bunker in the middle of the war, which the bunker is in an unknown location. Blew it up, stole all the items, claimed they were blown up, and then hid them in the end dimension for everyone to find. So that sets the stage for this massive case, this dupe case against Easton Burton. Easton Burton is very angered about this because people in the CFA, which he thought were his friends, and they were, they just valued the actual server being played correctly. They said, or no, rather they turned against him and helped the actual server in the case against him, and he was found guilty. But it was later overturned a long time later when it was found out that it was a false deal. But in retaliation for him being banned, he blew up portions of Madinat al-Salam right here. He blew up portions of it. So, explosion. And was put on a combat ban for 2 weeks. Actually was banned. And then Welke decided he was going to give him another chance under the condition that he remained under my watchful eye at all times here at Charlesonia. Now, despite this, he still had a 2 week. Actually, no. Oh, geez, it was much longer. I think it was something like 4-month combat ban. That's terrible. That is terrible, right? Let me get rid of this. Despite this, though, he's here at Charlesonia with me in this one area. And he's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna grind stuff up for when I get done. Yeah. Well, one day, over in JJ, do you know where Luke Prod was killed? Where was he
No,
at?
I don't. I think he was probably New Galvin.
No, I don't. Let's say somewhere in this region, right? But realistically, it could have been anywhere within this circle. Luke Prod was killed by someone named Cooked PvP. CPVP. Cooked PvP. Well, short story here. It was figured out that was Easton T. Burton. Oh my goodness. So not only was his combat ban extended by another 4 months, putting it at a total of 8, but Luke Prod, stationed here at Galvin, right? This is his new area, his new capital, says, we're going to kill Easton Burton. Total Easton Burton death. Unfortunately, or no, well, I'm not going to say unfortunately. Easton Burton was then kicked out of the CFA. So that is, let me draw this back. CFA is, let's just kind of draw out what the CFA had control of at the time. So around here, come up there, come down a little bit, and goes up into here. This is the CFA, right? That is the extent of what they control at this time, which is practically half the map. Now, Easton Burton is kicked out to my protest because he's supposed to remain under my watchful eye. Keep that in mind at Charlesonia. He was kicked out, and he goes and he joins. So here he's supposed to be here at Charlesonia. Let me use a different color than blue. Easton Burton brown. He goes from Charlesonia down to good old Glissopia, down here at the bottom of the map. Now, these people, the Glissopians, right? GLX, Zaner, etc., say, well, Luke Prod, no. You cannot come and kill Easton Burton. We're going to protect him. So, what happens is, Luke Prod says, okay, I'm going to declare war on you. Now, longtime ally, and I'm going to circle it in blue, Aglaria, longtime ally of Lopad, right here in this region here, says, okay, I'm going to assist you, and we're both going to be declaring war on Glissopia. Now, maybe, now keep in mind, there's maybe less than a month between the TDA war ending and this breaking out. But let's take a look, right? The CFA, which again, I will circle it out, and in a more simplified form though, like just, I'm not going to go crazy on it, just this whole deal here. Get word from the people over at Nirvana, which is the Enclave, which is a state of the CFA at the time. They get word that one of their acquaintances by the name of Joyous, who is banned from the server for using extremely derogatory terms against one of our head admins during the Kokushi conflict, had started up a group containing, and we will go ahead and call it the TML over here, but it didn't have a name yet. Kokushi. This is just the groups that are, represented in this interception by the people over at the Enclave, which then reported it over to, where would the CFA capital be? Let's say it's like right here. They reported it over here to the CFA capital right here, so we all hear it. They let us know in secret chats so people didn't get too concerned. Now, Kokushi, you then had, of course, Glissopia, Mystonia, then there was Narkisios.
It's Mistonia.
Be quiet, dude. And actually,
Oh, by the way, Christians for Israel.
dude, I'm trying to make this, dude, can you actually stop? Like, I'm not even kidding. Anyway, Glissopia, Mystonia, Narkisios. Now, Andorra were they a part of the initial TML?
No.
GLX. I don't think they were.
Carl made the TML.
Okay, so to begin with, you also had Andorra. Now, this is your TML. Am I missing anybody? Kokushi, Glissopia, Mystonia, Narkisios, Andorra.
Female when? Like what type of
The very
female?
be-
Like of all time?
Well, no. This is the very beginning. This is the group that it started with.
No, no one knows.
What? Okay, be quiet. So anyway, let me get rid of all this stuff. That's your TML. Keep that in mind. Now, let me just try and draw the lines here. Is there a way to delete this shit? Like, is there just a way to get rid of only, like, the writing you've done? That'd be nice. I don't think it exists, though. Should I get rid of it? So, let's set the stage here. So, I'm going to draw out the capitals here. So, you have Glissopia, which is, this is basically the head of the TML right here. Now, the AAC was a bit different. You had your capital of the CFA right here. Lopad's capital is right here. The UE's capital is right here. And Aglaria, I have no idea, somewhere here. So let's draw these borders out. Aglaria, you're looking at this snowy region right here. That's all them. CFA, we've done this before. Let's do it again. Very massive group here. Just pull it around. Goes right here. Boom. Comes up. Goes up here. That's the CFA. And also some new chunk stuff, which we're not even going to show because the new chunks weren't involved in the spawn or their TML war very, very much. Your UE is this area, a little bit of like down in here as well. So that's your UE. And then there's a little bit of the UE down here. I'm going to put it right here by Glissopia. Now, I don't actually know where the rest of these places are. You have Lopad right here. Narcissos, which I'm going to put in purple, is right here, and it's in the middle of CFA territory. If we're being more accurate, CFA should come like right over here and come down here, but I can't delete this unfortunately. There's got to be a way. There's why does it delete the whole thing? Let's see. There's got to be a way just to remove the drawing. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, so that's your Narcissos. I don't know where Mystonia is. It's probably... Mystonia was in the sea.
Mystonia is like very, very far southeast or southwest. So like underneath Lopad. Go all the way under Lopad.
Okay. It's actually, I don't even think it's
Yeah.
pictured on the... It's in like... It's not even on this
Yeah,
map.
no, it's on the map. It's just hella far.
I'll put Mystonia in brown right here.
You see that water over there? Yeah, it's about there, yeah.
Okay, and Andorra is, and I guess I'll use...
It's right next to
light
Glissopia. It's
blue.
slightly more northern.
So it's going to be... Isn't it this area over here? Like by...
No, it's really
right?
really close to Glissopia.
So you're... I'm gonna
It's to
put
the
it
left of Glissopia. It's like
to the left. Okay.
whatever.
So we're going to put it right here. That's your Andorra. And Kokushi...
Not even close.
Okay. It's Kokushi had... And I say had because they didn't actually own it for the entirety of the war. It was not theirs. I half owned it because they decided to quit after the Kokushi War. It was somewhere around here. That's where Kokushi would have been, but I'm not even going to put it because there was not any contention there. I just half owned it. They couldn't even use it. Anyway, so this is how your stuff is split up. We will give, basically I'm going to do this in green. The TML had control of pretty much this entire bottom portion of the map, right? So this southwestern portion, while the AAC controlled everything else. So the TML was kind of in a tough spot right here. They really were. Now, around this same time, so that's how we got the intel of the TML being formed, thanks to Tombsato over at the Enclave. Now, keep in mind, you have Aglaria and you have Lopad at war with Glissopia. I don't know where to put this. Let's just say it's over here because they didn't actually own this, but Kokushi says, okay, and let's use a different color, black. They say, okay, I'm going to be declaring war on Aglaria and Lopad in retaliation, and officially this group starts to form, the TML. They come out of hiding. Now, at this same time, you have, well, okay, let's go ahead and say, you have the first battle, starting to be planned up, and I think it was somewhere along here on one of these islands is where the actual...
What's the South Continent?
Yeah, it's South Continent, wasn't it, where the first battle with Lopad
Fort Dave?
was fought? Yeah, Fort Dave.
Yep.
Actually, I
Fort
think
Dave
it's
was
on the
fought.
mainland, though. I don't think it's on the islands. It's right about here. So it's actually in UE territory. The entire first part of the war starts in the UE territory. Speaking of UE territory, Narcissus decides that it's just going to go over here and it's going to kill Austin Donut of the United Empire, the leader, over disputes over a member over here named Almost a Cat getting arrested over here and put in jail for something he allegedly didn't do or allegedly did do, whatever. They kill him and claim it was a bounty. They will never tell who the bounty was. I think we all agree it probably wasn't a bounty. It doesn't particularly matter. But, you know, this
We did it for fun.
Yeah, okay. This causes the UE to retaliate and say, okay, wait, Narcissus declared war, didn't they?
I think it was
Probably.
first.
Actually, I do. I think Narcissus declared war on the United. It could have been the other way around, but anyway, war is declared between the UE. Let's just say both ways. War, right? Now, This upsets the CFA, which is right here again. This is the entire big area. I'm not going to draw it out again. But the leader at the time, which was Poyu, right? He says, I don't want to get involved against this giant new group forming. They aren't exactly against our interests. As long as they don't show any hostility towards us, we're fine. But he wants to ensure that the UE is successful. The CFA and UE had very good relations at the time. The CFA had helped the UE in their issue with Zaner months prior in the whole Roman situation, and the UE was very grateful for this. They had established a very good relation back and forth, and so the CFA did not want Narkisios here to destroy UE. First battle happens, I have no idea where it was. Let's say, well, obviously it would have to be somewhere around, well, actually, no, it's like right here, isn't it? Come from this, like right here. First battle happens.
Yeah, it's by UMC.
Yeah, first battle right here. UE is defeated at the first battle, very narrowly, actually.
The CFA was at the battle.
Yeah, they were there spectating. The CFA was there.
Wasn't Meman there?
I'm not sure.
No, Zaner was.
It was
No, I swear to God, Meman fought in that battle.
It came down to a 1v1.
It came out a 1v1 between, I think it was Lucky Dead and Galileo.
Lucky Dead.
Galameo, yeah.
Unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately.
Galameo was not winning that.
Galileo was defeated at this battle, and so the UE was compromised, opening up this entire area
Sector.
to TML conquest. At the same time, or very soon after, the battle right about here, we said, was fought between the TML and Lopad. So you have forces coming from here and forces coming from right down here, converging right here. Extremely bloody battle, lasted very, very long. A lot of people, terrible, truly terrible, horrific to watch.
Easton and JJ came mid battle.
They like stayed for like 2 minutes. But anyway, you had some light CFA influence on this one, and also some light TML influence as well. It was put down as Aglaria and Lopad officially versus Glissopia.
It was the day the Pirates came back.
Yeah, Glissopia and Kokushi, all in this one area. And everyone had their eyes on this. Everyone was interested on the outcome of this. This is a big fight. In the end, now that day, well, okay, since GLX brought it up, CFA spectated, and wait, that needs a different color. I use like light blue for yellow. CFA spectated. What's his name? Easton Burton and I missed a. Oh my goodness. Let's backtrack. Easton Burton. Let's get back to Easton Burton. So, war is declared. Easton Burton is still down here. Big guy down in Glissopia. He sends me a message over in Charlesonia and says, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I've got myself into. These people have been planning this. It's terrible. I don't want anything to do with this." I said, Easton, it's not too late, dude. It's not too late. You can still help me. Do you have perms to their stuff? He says, yes. He says, yes. I said, here's what I can do. It was somewhere around. Brought it up to Lopad Island.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back. It's on stream. I can show it to you. And back to
Everything Glissopia had. We don't talk about what Andorra had, bro.
Okay.
It's creative stash.
Massive dupe stashes around here at the time.
It was all in Andorra. Complete miss. Yeah.
Everything was in Andorra. You guys are never on close.
Massive dupe stash here. So what we did here only benefited us. It didn't hurt the TML. They had massive dupe stashes here, which makes the entire conflict kind of suck.
Creative mode.
But anyway,
Good mode.
So we have giant stockpiles at Charlesonia. Now, around this time, even after this occurs, Poyu says no to Easton Burton rejoining. So, what happens is these groups, these states within the CFA, coming up this way, decide we're going to leave. We're going to form the Confederate States of Charles Tahoe, which consisted of Jackaonia, Babaltopia, Mephisto, which is right here, and Fireblades, the Order, which is somewhere around here, right? So this is the CSC, forms up CFA, because the CFA wouldn't let Easton Burton into his, well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're out of the order. Forget I said that. Easton Burton is in the CF, well, he's not with anybody. He's in Jackaonia, but they won't let him into the CFA. So they keep saying no. He's a member of Jackaonia, but not the CFA. They had to come up with some kind of like weird loophole where like, well, yeah, you know, each individual member has to be brought in, not the actual faction itself. Anyway, so he was a member only of Jackaonia and by extension Charlesonia, because at the time Jackaonia was a Charlesonian subfaction inside of the CFA, very complicated. So he was both Charlesonian and Jackaonian, but not CFA, right? No. Because the Lord at the time would not let him. Anyway, we go back to the battle. We have Easton Burton and Jesus, and then from the TML side, you had people like Meme Man, Lucky Dead. There as well, the Phantom Pirates returned and joined the TML at this time, from after I think 2 years being gone. So this is the climax. This is when it gets big. This is the first big action we have. And that day, Lopad was defeated, but because of a bunch of issues with the battle, like the fact that Lewis, one of the Kokushi guys, had admin for some reason and was able to break blocks and he was trapped. He got everybody out of the trap. It was overturned afterwards, but Luke Prod decided at the time to let it stay as it was. On the day, TML victory, and they decided to choose this sector for some reason, the sector they were in. Right here. This is where the war was going to start, right? Or progress to. Meanwhile, the UE theater is right here. So this is your TML war, the very start. Now, let's get to that CSC stuff I was talking about earlier. Poyu and the CFA are still not in the conflict. No war. Obviously, people such as myself, Easton Burton, who now had Babaltopia thanks to Whalkey handing it to him. It was a Charlesonian city at this point. Thank you, Lopad. Anyway, and wherever he is, Fireblade, were not too satisfied with the CFA in general, the leadership, and the direction it was going. They actually signed a peace deal with the TML at the time, furthering the no war sentiment. And then, on top of this, Poyu he did remove the article in the Constitution of the CFA stating that the Lord had to be elected every month. He made himself Lord until the war was over. In response, these groups here, I'll outline it. I don't know where Fireblade's thing was, but somewhere right here. These areas went off and created the CSC, along with this faction down here, Andorra, which left the TML to join the CSC. So this wasn't just an AAC faction at the time. It was both people leaving the TML and people leaving the CFA.
Bipolar moment.
Yeah, the CSC is formed the same day Daramis, and I think this is meant to be Daramis right here, officially joins the TML, leaving the CFA. CFA is in shambles at this point. They don't know what to do.
I remember that before betraying, they had to get some fort or something, like a territory, because they had a meeting. What fort was it?
They
John was trying to get
They
Carl?
attempted to get Fort
I don't
Francis
remember.
from Poyu,
Oh, that.
but were denied. because when Poyu brought it to me asking, I said, Poyu, they're probably about to betray you. They don't play. They're probably talking to Plague and such, trying to join the TML. Luckily, Poyu listened. Wow.
Legendary.
He listened and he didn't give it to them. So Fort Fantish remained in CFA hands at this point. So actually, I need to this wasn't CFA yet. So it's like, that's still CFA stuff. It's not CSC yet. So it's still CFA Fort right there. Anyway, though, Duramis joins the TML, much to the dismay of everybody else. And because of this, the CSC decides to join the AAC. So now your AAC lineup, I'm not even going to go over it again. Basically, the CSC joins the AAC, officially, the Alliance Against Cavalierism, with everybody else. Around this same time, with the same day that the big secession start with the CSC and Duramis, the CFA finally decides, okay, we've got to do something, and they declare war on the TML. Right? They declare war officially. They say, okay, we're done with you doing all this shit. We're going to declare war. So this, one second.
Charles, how you been?
I was joking at 5 seconds ago.
All right. Anyone who's here, if you're gonna go to S2 chunks, you gotta report to me for immigration enforcement. You're gonna pay 100,000 in order to be able to
100,000?
live
Okay, guys.
in New
Sorry.
chunks.
Okay.
Be quiet. Okay. So, where was I at? Okay, yes. So the CFA finally joins the war, and a joint agreement is made between the CSC and the CFA that they will not have any sort of issues, no issues, while the TML exists. They will help each other with all things because they're both AAC factions at this point. CFA to a lesser degree. They were more just joining the AAC and working with them at this point to secure victory over the TML, which was now showing aggression. The actual AAC had much different values, being a united empire, low pad, civilized building group trying to secure protection by utilizing one another, as opposed to CFA, which was pretty much an entirely PvP-based faction. They weren't too different from the TML. It's just that they were at odds. The TML did not like the CFA, and the CFA now did not like the TML because they were taking their members. Anyway, though, Jakaonia, or rather the CSC as a whole, make an agreement with the CFA to assist the UE in their next battle against the TML, which would take place in this general area right here. Now, this idea was intercepted by TML code crackers, which is to say people watching the live stream. They said, okay, we know they're going to be there. Let's get everyone we have to come. So, time of the second battle. Let me draw out the lines again. This is the second battle for the UE theater of the conflict. Be around right here. But most of it was actually happening on mainland here. No one was going off down further south in the continent. Now, you had the CFA. So that's CSC. I'm going to do CSC, CFA, and I think that's it. That's the people coming from the AAC. You had the CFA and the CSC coming to assist the UE, right? On the other side, you had the entire TML. I mean, it's Glassopia is, when I refer to TML, the TML's capital was Tractorate, and I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, pretty much.
TML coming up from let's just be real, they were coming up from this way, coming in to attack, right? Now, they met at, it was Donut Empire, which I'm going to say is somewhere along this mountain here. You had the entirety, and they'll all converge somewhere here. Right? And they go down, and they meet the TML. They search for him for a while during the battle. They meet the TML here at Donut Empire, where they have to fight their way into the city, because the TML gets there before they do and surrounds it. Here, let me zoom in, actually. A lot of terrible fighting right out here. Terrible fighting. A lot of people die right off the bat. Terrible fighting. Now, eventually, AAC forces are able to occupy the actual fortress, but because the UE failed to actually, and also I'd like to mention, Boba Fett was here at this battle. Big guy.
Truth
Big
show.
help. And he was running some of the logistics for this battle. He suggested we take the actual inner city to get a better position against the TML forces instead of just fighting them out here in this bloodbath in the forest. It was terrible conditions for fighting. When the video is uploaded, you'll see it was terrible. Anyway, unfortunately for the AAC stationed inside of this fort now, the UE, and I'm just going to put these trees here, right? These are trees. They failed to get rid of the forest around their base, and right here, there's a mountain right next to their wall, which just so happened to have a bunch of trees that go right over their wall, just like that. So, our friends over at the TML, they're being held off for the most part. There are still some people fighting on the outside of the fort, but they just make their way on top of this. And we were able to shoot a few of them off. We understood that this was here. We saw it, and we were shooting them off the tree. But, unfortunately, some of them started to come in. So, I ordered everyone to retreat. We had to retreat. Retreated south. Oh, I need to zoom back in. Back out. Retreated south out of the sector. And the TML effectively took over everything they needed in this sector. The UE was occupied and destroyed. Now, just a few moments later, the TML, their newly gained entire sector here, pretty much, that they owned, sent off ships to Lopad Island, which they were very, very, and of course there are skirmishes throughout this whole thing. I'm just not going to mention, the skirmish fights were numerous and very interesting, but there were just so many and they're not very well documented. I have no idea where they happened, what was going on.
All of them were at Directorate. If not, they were at UE.
Yes, at this time.
All of them attracted it or Narcissus.
Yeah,
Sometimes that spawns.
Yeah, that's true.
Was later in the war, but right now most of your skirmishes were going to be CFA, CSC, Aglaria, coming down to Tractorate City here and fighting out in the water. That's pretty much what was going on. And a lot of the times we would use,
I remember that.
Right here
I used to go to this.
At this area here as a base of operations to get there. So really, it wasn't all the way up here. It was more like right here to here. There's a lot of skirmishes in this area going on at this time. Now, Lopad forces, and let me just go ahead and give off the idea that I had, the AAC was going to go with, which was basically we understood that as a sector, the spawn sector, which was everything that pretty much I went over before as CFA, was the most secure sector on the server. And here, that's your CSC down here. We understood it was extremely. Oh, I didn't know it went up here. That's cool. Hey, probably Dark Fantasy.
Nice one, jackass.
Anyway, this is the most secure sector, and it was at the time as well. It would have been very difficult. It was very big, and the CFA was, something to be feared, even for the TML at the time. They were not able to take on the spawn region. There wasn't much to prepare. The spawn war was fought entirely, almost, in this sector, and all the forts they needed, all the preparation they needed was already done. Blocktopia at the time, or Babaltopia, still had giant walls around it made of lava that were almost impenetrable, unless you're the AFFS and have people building tunnels underneath it like genius.
East Dumbarton?
Yep. Very, very well fortified. There's nothing for them to do. Even as the CSC, we understood there's nothing for us to do. So the idea was we would split into sectors, or theaters of war. This is after the UE fell, unfortunately. Rest in peace, my friend. Lopad would get to focus entirely on its war effort, which, like I said, is going to be down here. So this portion of the map right here. And let me outline the areas that were in contention. This. There's some more over here, and of course for the other side, Glissopia, and that's pretty much it. There was like a few other things around Glissopia, Tractorate City being the main one. Lopad's rallying cry, of course, was on to Tractorate. That's on all the propaganda from the time. That was their big thing. The individualized Lopad plan was to simply sweep through, and pretty much they took.
I got you, Easton.
They took this off the map. Easton, if you're gonna blabber, don't say anything. If you come up here, don't say anything. They took this off the map by basically having it be. Well, actually, at the time, this was CFA, so this wasn't even on the map as a potential spot to take. This was still CFA. So I understood they had the better fortified positions. All they had to do was keep it defense. Oh my gosh! Basically,
Spit it
Lopad.
out, bro.
Sorry, Lopad's main objective was defending itself while we waited for the CFA to enter into the sector. Meanwhile, while we were waiting on that, while Lopad was supposed to be doing its stuff, we were going to go from here in Andorra and keep to the TML occupied with constant skirmishes so they couldn't get anything done, any grinding or anything. Obviously, this didn't matter because they were duping the entire time. But anyway, it did keep them occupied for some time. Anyway, let's go to the battle now. Get rid of all this. Okay, so it's going on right here.
Wait, which battle?
Oh my gosh, I said if you're gonna say stuff, dude.
I'm sorry, I wasn't
Oh,
here.
then get him out of
Watch
here.
the video afterward, dude. Okay, anyway, Lopad Island. This is called the Lopad Island battle because this is pretty much where all the fighting is going on in this battle. Lopad's plan.
Lopad Island battle number 2.
Plan was to take on the TML offensive, and they did have assistance at this battle. They did. There was very light CFA, CSC assistance, but it wasn't very many. There was no campaign made to get people there. I think it amounted to maybe 4 people. Okay.
About.
So,
I was there.
Glissopian forces,
I was there.
They knew they were going to attack Lopad Island. They made this very clear. They were very clear that Lopad Island was their main objective. All that they needed to do was stay within the walls that were built during the spawn war and protect the actual city, which would have been easy on horseback. The TML couldn't get anything in, if they played legit, easily at least. And so they would be able to kill or weaken them at least, and then counter push back down to Glissopia and take out the surrounding territories that were protecting Tractorate City, therefore leaving an opening for the CFA by the time their battle was to happen. Okay. That sets the stage. Now, what actually happened was you had Lopad here, Glissopia, right, just psych. They weren't right there. Excuse me. Yeah, psych.
Close to Sin City.
They weren't here. They were like right here. And as soon as the battle started, this was an illegal start, by the way. Server, it wasn't a valid place for them to start at, but they come in right here. They're waiting, and kaboom. It turns out that Charles from the
Israel
CSC,
moment.
when he found out that TML would be fighting for Lopad Island, a place that he very much wanted, he switched sides and he blew up the place. Right?
I would do it
TML
again.
get in. TML got in, won the battle. On paper, it was overturned immediately after because a lot of the things to do with this that they did were extremely illegal. Overturned, so they don't actually get Lopad Island.
Just a lot of baby rage.
But yeah, there was in the fleeing, right? So they didn't get it, right? They were repelled. They didn't get to occupy the place. Actually, it'd be more their ship. They had a ship. Was returning, going south to Glissopia, was intercepted by a joint force made up of, and it'd be coming from right here, CFA, CSC, and even UE met them right here. And this is where the war changed. This is really where it changed. Thanks to the genius of a relatively unknown guy, well, before the war, relatively unknown. He'd made a lot of name for himself in the skirmishes going on right here and such. Jesus 5. Rally.
He's a hoe ass, I guess.
Yeah, that guy's black.
They rallied together all the people, even the people from the now disenfranchised United Empire, the very few that were left. He rallied them. He got all of the CFA on, which was rare. Like, you never see this. Got them on. And, of course, CSC was there. This battle had 60-something people.
Lopez and Glory was there, too.
The very few. You got the entire
Naval battle?
AAC. He got the entire AAC to show up against what was the entire TML, which at this point also included the Enclave, which left and joined the TML as well.
Jace, was this a naval battle or the other goofy one?
Naval battle.
Andorra wasn't even there. I was at work.
No, they weren't there. Andorra did not show up. They were, of course, a TML
All of
faction
Kikuchi
at this
came.
time.
Everyone.
Hyro was there.
Kikuchi
Hyro was
The
there.
entire
Hyro wasn't there.
The entire
He was.
that was a different battle, JJ. The entire TML came. Almost the entire AAC came, excluding most Lopadians. There were very few Lopadians there. They were still reeling from the loss at Lopad Island. But the entire TML was on that ship trying to get back to Glissopia, but they were caught off guard by the AAC Navy, created by, and I'll give JJ the credit, created by JJ. And it was a very hard-fought battle, but the AAC got its first victory against the TML right here. And that would continue. So the TML suffered heavy casualties in this battle. It was a loss. And with that being said, the forces set up camp, the AAC forces set up camp right here in Fort Vance, which is very, very close to the TML capital of Glissopia. Now, all this stood in their way. Oh, and I should mention, Lopad surrendered at this point. They're gone. So, Lopad is out. You now have CFA, CSC, and Aglaria, along with a couple UE stragglers that are still alive. Now, the stage is set for the end of the war right here. Fort Vance, beautiful place. Glissopia, beautiful place was. They start setting up sand walls and such to, keep people.
Andorra strat.
Yep. Now, our friends over here to the west of Glissopia, Andorra.
Not even close.
Charles straight up leaves the server, bro.
I went hyper inactive because I had work.
The TML,
Also left the TML war. I was the first TML faction to leave.
Yes, leaves the TML yet again. Of course, Hyro was still assisting, and some of the Andorra territories are still there. But this put the AAC, which is already in a good position now, in an even better position. They now only
Kikuchi
have to
leaves
take
too.
out three territories in this sector before they could attack the big Glissopia right here. So that brings us to the Battle of Slacktown. And this is really where the TML lost all hope. Their morale.
By the way, Andorra was here. Andorra was at that battle. We lost
You
Port Tor
weren't.
during that battle too.
You weren't.
We did. We lost
Yes,
Port Tor.
yes, they were.
No,
They lost it to
you
Algeria.
weren't.
Prisma came in.
Charles wasn't there.
Prisma came in 1v1.
I wasn't. Hyro
wasn't-
was. Hyro the
It
lone
wasn't-
survivor.
It wasn't Prisma. It was Galileo.
Oh shit.
It was Galileo. He wasn't even in the fort or in the walls. He was just on the claim.
Yep, on the claim. That's all you got to be. Anyway,
Yeah, tight.
so there's a fight right here, right between the entire AAC yet again. We didn't get quite the group of people we did at the naval battle, but it was still a pretty good group. Mainly Aglarian, CFA, CSC, and even Thick Nick returned for this battle against what was pretty much the entire TML at the time for the most part, wasn't it? I'm going to say yes. So we did a understanding that we had a pretty good, advantage here. We just did a full frontal assault. Poyu set up assault planes to try and weaken the walls. We wanted to get horses inside, but we didn't. He could never break holes large enough. So we just kind of got off the horses and all swarmed into the base, started the fight here. People like Plague, self-proclaimed PvP lords, Plague, Zaner, went inside the nearby Tractorate City and hid while the AAC forces killed every last person inside of this fort. Killed everybody. Slacktown was now in AAC territory. While this is going on, a one-person defense was set up here, around here at Port Tord, Andorra, which the AAC
One-man wonder.
sent the CSC hero, Galileo, to take by himself, which he did. So now, what was standing between the CFA, or the AAC rather, and Tractorate? Go back. Fort Dave.
Hyro entity.
Fort Dave, all the way back up here. Now, should this battle have happened? Probably not. It's not even in the right sector. But anyway, that's, whatever. You have the AAC now finally has the TML on the ropes. They don't know what they're going to do. They get desperate. They start making up, oh, well, what about this over there? Okay. TML is on the back foot. On top of this, Andorra officially leaves. Charles goes to make his own server. Bye-bye. See ya. Kokushi leaves in embarrassment. They're embarrassed by the losses, and they leave the server as well. They don't exist anymore. So the TML is back to what it was at the beginning, plus, some CFA groups. Not in a very good position, especially now that the AAC has the highest morale it's ever had, probably. More united.
I'd also like to mark that since I'd left Jace, and I hadn't duped Charlesonium, by the way. There's never any Charlesonium inside the stash. The max amount of Charlesonium they ever had was 70 Charlesonium.
70.
That's all they were left with.
Wow, that's not any, bro. 70. Oh my goodness. Anyway.
I don't know if only light chest plates though.
Now, seeing the victory.
It was when he tricked Dragon to give him up. That was
Yeah, I
when it
remember that.
happened.
That's really funny.
He
Lopad,
tricked him and then got him.
Lopad finally decides, okay, you're winning now. We're gonna rejoin. We're gonna declare war on the TML again. And actually, Aglaria leaves the war. And there's a lot of suspicions of them assisting the TML or whatever. So what? Anyway, there are tensions between the CSC and Aglaria. That's secondary stuff. But the main thing is the AAC now has the TML on the back foot. They're starting to realize they're in a pretty tough situation. It's going to be hard to get out of it, even with the infinite amount of duped items they had, right? The CSC
Started to dwindle, but
the AAC relegates this theater, which I believe was called the Tractorate Theater or the Southwestern Theater of the War, entirely to the CFA and Lopad. So they are now the ones on this one, shaking hands right here. Right. Meanwhile, the CSC was determined to retake the occupied UE territories and establish a new UE under Galileo. So they use their jumping off spot, which would be right here at Babeltopia, to create Fort, what was it called? Fort Knight. Fort Knight was created around here as their base of operations for the UE campaign. Along with this, several skirmishes started occurring right here. There was the burning of Narkisios, the Great Fire, right here at Narkisios to weaken them in preparation for the campaign in the UE. At the same time, the CFA, which this shouldn't have happened. This fort was outside of the sector. They should have been able to go for a tractor at this battle, but anyway, fight right about there. Same place as before. We go back to Fort Dave, right? Back to Fort Dave. And this would end up being the final battle of the war. The CSC, CFA, and I don't think very many Lopadians came, did they?
No, Lopez wasn't at war.
They did. They rejoined towards the end, but they just kind of just to say that they did.
That was in January, dude.
Was it just in January? I thought it was during the ceasefire.
No, they never
No?
declared war.
Okay. Lopez was preparing to go back to war, and the CSC actually signed a Christmas ceasefire with Glissopia at the time, or just the TML in general. Wait, no, I think it was just
It was all TML.
the TML in general. The CSC signed a Christmas. We're getting around December here. Signed a Christmas ceasefire. Right. And this battle, when did it occur? Right before Christmas or after?
It was during.
Was it on Christmas Day? There's no way.
No, it wasn't.
no, it wasn't. It was a ceasefire that day.
Let's say it was around Christmas. This happened. There were CSC people there, basically doing what I told them not to do. They were there. Long story short, AAC wins again. It was a absolute slaughter. TML morale is lowered even more.
Stop the glaze.
It's true. This is what was going on. TML morale was lowered even more. They lost even more people. It was getting bad. On top of that, they had no more excuses. The next battle, the CFA was going to take Tractorate City from them, and there was going to be an explosion. Lopad rejoined officially around this time after this battle. Officially redeclared war. It's not just supporting anymore. They officially redeclared war. You had people like BXD, Phantom, and Frizzy, top TML guys this time, joining the CSC. against the TML. It was terrible for them. They had nothing.
And redeclared war on them.
And also Lopadians, in retaliation for what happened at Lopad Island, were in favor of just blowing up Tractorate City as much as they could during the battle, as retaliation for everything the TML had done to them up to this point. So, with that in mind, they started, they were going to fight it out. They were going to. They started getting ready for this. At the same time, they had to prepare further north for the impending CSC invasion of UE territory, which was mainly Narkisios they were fighting against. They were effectively fighting a two-front conflict, defending Tractorate City and their newfound UE territories from everyone, pretty much. Now, I hate to say it, this is just the truth, guys. One night, a search was conducted on the TML, particularly Tractorate City, some other places. I think they went to Da Prado too. The dupe stash was uncovered. This is also around the time that...
Which one?
Yeah, one of the dupe stashes was uncovered.
Not the big one, little
They had
bro.
actually already been caught duping at this point. GLX had been caught duping. I don't remember the specifics of it. Before that battle that occurred, that was a wash around Christmas, but was let off with a warning. Same with Lucky Dead. They're both caught at this point, let off with a warning. But unfortunately, it was found out they were still doing it. Oh my goodness. So the things were all cleared. Anything that was even remotely suspicious was removed. And that was the final nail in the coffin for the TML. It was freaking over. Now, a little bit before this, there was a scuffle with old Frizzy here at Spawn, where he got killed by an Aglarian guy. Terrible to see. And in retaliation, there was also this... I should also mention the UWP comes back. Kind of a small deal going on, but it's right about here. Slack comes back, reforms the UWP with Fred, and they were actually at this battle too. Slack was here fighting against the TML, which I'm sure was a big blow to the TML. They kind of touted Slack as one of their big deities, kind of. They deified him, and he comes back to fight against them. Terrible. It was terrible for the TML at this point. We had to go over all this stuff that just caused this complete morale decline. Slack turning against them, the dupe stash is found, everyone's leaving them. Frizzy, the pirates all joined CSC. Anyway, though, side topic, because this was pretty funny when it happened. Old Slack, and there's also this rising tension here. There's a lot of stuff going on towards the end of the war too, and I keep forgetting. So you have what is left of the CFA, which is like coming up here and then there, and there you go. What's left of it? These people, like the actual AAC, which now consisted of the UWP, which I'll put it, as the UWP, Lopad, CSC, and whatever was left of the UE. I won't even include the UE because it was pretty much a CSC thing now. The UE was pretty much absorbed by the CSC at this point. They're all forming this secret little group against the CFA because they don't like them. They say, we're fighting one enemy because they're against what we believe in, working with another enemy to do it. We knew we had to do something about them towards the end of the war, but that's besides the point. In one of these secret groups, our good friends over at the UWP told us that our good friends over at Lopad were going to use this conflict as a way to come in, sweep through, and retake all the stuff. Basically, take over not only the CFA, but the CSC too, after everything. And this just so happened to occur at the same time that an Iglarian kills Frizzy, a CSC. No, Frizzy and Easton at spawn. I think they just fought Easton though. I think Easton was able to live. And
Easton didn't die.
Yeah, fought Easton and this guy at spawn at the same time that we were hearing about all this. And then a meeting is called with Luke Pride and the rest of the Lopatians at the Iglarian capital. What the heck is going on? So this is a convoluted mess here. And to pick up the chronology here, I think that's how you say it. We're right after the battle where the AAC pretty much wipes the TML right here, back where it started, right at Fort Dave, right? So TML is beaten right here, battered. They lose a lot of people here as well. CSC is preparing to invade from Fort Knight into United Empire territory. And then you have this disruption. All of the AAC groups are kind of at odds with one another. You have this meeting over to Glaria, which is right here, of course. So, CSC and UWP forces, they march right into Glaria, and they get into a scuffle. Oh my goodness, with these bros over at Glaria. We killed them. We freaking killed them. Now, this is interesting. Nothing ever came of this, but there was TML assistance for the Iglarians here. TML assistance. What the heck is going on? This is so confusing.
It was only me and me, man.
TML assistance for Iglaria when they're fighting against the CSC here. What is going on? This is where the conspiracy that the Iglarians left the war to aid the TML comes from. It's been pretty much debunked now, but that's why it was such an issue.
Age sold us more stuff in Aglaria.
This also is what caused the kind of rift between the CSC and Lopag going forward, which we can get into next time. But
Wait, Jace, can I put some breaking news? I don't think anyone ever knew.
okay, go ahead.
Paige sold us creative mode kits in order to take back what Dave owned.
Take back what Dave owned.
Whatever Dave owned, she wanted us to take it, so she sold us kits.
That failed.
Yeah.
That's cool to hear, though. Anyway, so the TML, keep in mind, they have to fight. Not only are they fighting over here in Iglaria for this, they're assisting Iglaria for whatever reason. They also have to keep this in mind right here. It's over. They lost their stoop stashes. It was over. The TML realized, guys, it's freaking over. There's no way we're going to win. And so, the war ends. And if you'll give me a second, I will pull up. Which one is it? Okay, this is kind of what your post-war world looks like after everything is split up. Let me just pull this up real quick.
In the peace group chat, a lot of tension was made between the allies. They wanted to get territories, do this and that.
Yes, so this
I
is,
remember.
and I guess we can get into the right after the war stuff. So actually, I believe this one isn't even. Oh shoot, this is old. Oh yeah, I forgot. The guy who made this didn't know what was going on. Like he had no idea what was going on. So, Kokushi here doesn't exist. What the heck? Doesn't exist at this point. Daramis gets eaten by Charlesonia, or the CFA. It was CFA at this point. UE is under CSC occupation now because we're trying to get the people back, trying to create a new UE here, bring it back. Lopad has most of this. Charlesshire is taken by the CFA. Now, this sets the stage for everything. And, of course, Narkisios, they were allowed to keep their base after the TDA war, but after the breaking of the treaty and all that, it is officially absorbed into the CFA as a territory. Tractorate City. Who took control of Tractorate City?
UWP.
Slack dude.
Okay.
He gave it
It's-
back to me though, right before he left.
It's not on
Couple
this.
days ago.
Yeah, it's not on this map. But it'd be like right down here. Just UWP takes Glissopia because we saw it as fitting, since Slack, he created Glissopia with GLX back in the day. Anyway, so this is the world stage, kind of. It's a few things are messed up. UWP would be like right here. Then I guess it's kind of TML war. So the TML is gone. No more TML. They're gone. Sorry. See ya. They don't exist. You have them joining all of these different factions. Some join Lopad. Some join CSC. A lot of them joined CSC. Most of the TML went to the CSC because we were offering them. We were pretty nice to them, honestly, throughout the conflict. In fact, we had peace deals with Tombs Auto.
You guys stopped us from being exiled to the end
Yes.
when Poi wanted us.
So yeah, we what's it called? Where would it be? It'd be like right here, wouldn't it? Anyway, so the CFA wanted to banish all of the TMO players to the end, and we in the CSC said no, and we took a lot of them. Some of them, like Lucky Dead and others, went to Lopad instead. For the most part, the entire TML, excluding Daramis and Kokushi, joined the CSC. Now, the CSC wanted to form what they were calling a regional geographic faction, which would have looked like this. And it did. This did come to fruition, but it would look like this. So everything outlined in gray would have been theirs, right? So, come up to here. This geographic region, and some of it was still owned by the CFA, particularly Fort Fantis, the Fantis Complex as it was known at this point. This is where the contention came up. On top of this, Lopad wanted, where's it at? They didn't even put it on this map. Anyway, Port Dave, right here, they wanted it back. It was called Port McPuck because it was in CFA control. They wanted it back. So, and I should also mention the UWP joins the CSC at this point and sets up down through here. You also had Galileo trying to rebuild the UE over in here. And Lopad handed us, what's it called? Port Lopad in return for what I'm about to mention. We talked to Whaleke, and we got Charlesonia to leave the CFA and join the AAC, which at this point was renamed the Charles Accords, I believe, the Grand Charles Accord. We got him to leave it since I told him, the CFA doesn't align with what you want anymore. And I'm not even going to, the borders at this point were so freaking confusing. Like, okay, so Charlesonia would be this white, right? And then everything down here. And CFA would be relegated to this little in-between part. So CSC was going to be the southern part of Charles Tahoe. Charlesonia was going to be the northern part. And the CSC was going to be the CFA was going to be given the middle part of Charles Tahoe. They would still get to keep Spawn. Now, this was brought, we had Luke Prod, Whaleke, and myself went to the meeting with Poyu, and we went over what was going to change. Fort Fantis and other places were going to be brought in to the CSC, and this map was drawn, something similar to this, right? He said no. Lopad also wanted, like I said, Port McPuck back. We all went in together to take back what we wanted from the CFA, right? Out of desperation and rage, pretty much, Poyu disbands the CFA, bro. Oh my goodness. How could this happen? How could this happen? He disbands the CFA, and the new world is pretty much created at this point. A new world is ushered in. It's crazy. That's the TML war, though. That is the entire thing with a map. Even some of the end. So I'm gonna move over to the Discord here. Give me a second.